So this isn't a movie at all about vampires. Well, it is, but this is a movie about humanity.
Fighting daylight. We're gonna pitch a winding doodle all night long.
You guys, I have officially entered the Sinners chat, and I couldn't be more excited to talk to you guys about the things that I have been thinking about, the things that I've been talking to my friends and family and just everybody about. I cannot stop talking about this film. It took me a little while to get out this long form video. I do have a video on TikTok that you definitely need to check out, but I did go see it on the opening weekend, so I was able to contribute to the opening weekend of Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, and all of the wonderful Sinners team that produced such that beautiful piece of art that we are all able to enjoy. I've been seeing so many people talk about the film, so many different aspects: religion, music, youth, the South, Chinese lore, vampire lore. This movie has brought so many people together that it really is magical when you think about it. So I agree, like many other people, we went back and forth on how we wanted to present our commentary for Sinners. I was thinking about, should I write out a script about what I want to say because I don't want to leave anything out? Should I be more freeform? Should I have a conversation with myself and ask myself questions? It was all kinds of crazy things, child. Because y'all also know, like, I'm a part-time actress, so, you know, I get in my head sometimes. But I was able to get out of my head and say, hey, let's just come on camera and talk about the film, one person to another, and have this conversation. And I would love to hear what you guys thought about the film. I'm pushing this out pretty late, but I believe better late than never to talk about this film. I know you guys haven't been seeing me, but truthfully, I haven't been really inspired to do a whole lot when it comes to content. I feel like everything, you know, has been done. People are just trying to outdo the algorithm and do all these crazy things. I'm hearing horror stories of people being shadow banned on YouTube, on Instagram, and also TikTok. So that has kind of also been in the back of my head, like, what are we doing this for? What are we doing this for? But nevertheless, I wanted to go ahead and push out and add my voice to the litany of voices that are talking about this amazing film, Sinners. So first, I just want to say kudos to Ryan for making some pretty bold decisions in this movie, from the location to the content that was presented to the themes to even kind of genre bending. That's what he talked about in one of his interviews. He calls this movie genre fluid. So you could say it's horror, you could say it's historical, you can say it is a musical, it talks about music, but it does all of that. It does all of that, and it does all of that well. That's why so many people are talking about it, because if you are a person that is absolutely in love with music, whatever form of music, you had Irish music in there, you had influence of Chinese culture, of course, foundational Black Americans from the past, from Africa, to the Delta blues, that was the main kind of content, the musical content, to rap music, to soul music, to R&B music, to gospel music. All of that was in this film, and it was presented really well. None of it was demonized, none of it was villainized. It was all presented really well. And that's why I believe that so many different people intergenerationally will love this. I am an absolute lover of Black American history. And this movie was set in the 1930s in Mississippi. If you know anything about Mississippi and some of the origins of Mississippi and the way they treated Black folks, you know that it is not a good history. So with that setting, there was always this tension there of coming into this world of the 1930s in Mississippi. One of the things that I think that Ryan did really well, along with the other story arcs that were supporting him, I believe that he introduced the 1930s setting with Smoke and Stack, played by Michael B. Jordan, in a way that they were doing business. So we met them as businessmen. Now, you know, the past dialogue talks about them running with Al Capone and them doing some less than honorable things to achieve their riches, but nevertheless, they were making a deal. And not only were they making the deal, they had all the money for the deal. So it wasn't an issue of like they were getting something on credit or they were getting it in a shady way, like stealing it. They were achieving and acquiring property logistically and also legitimately. So that's one thing that I really appreciated that set the tone early in the film. It didn't begin with a cotton field. A cotton field was in there. That was my only critique. I'm like, okay, yeah, it was people that were sharecroppers in the 1930s, but that was, I promise you, this movie for me is a 10 out of 10. So no sinner slander will be on this channel. But if I had a critique, it would be of that particular scene. But I do know that it was historically accurate. So we meet the Smokestack twins as businessmen. I love that. They are acquiring this property that they believe will be a great investment for the community. They're also coming back to the community after 7 years. And if you are someone that has left your hometown and came back after a certain amount of time, you know that there is this element of, I have to show people what I've done. It's almost like peacocking and putting out your chest. I know I did that when I returned back to Memphis from college, and also when I returned back to Memphis from New York. I wanted my community to know that I went these places and I acquired these things and I was bringing it back to the community to support the community and make the community better. And that's what I really like about this film. It was, the whole tone was set that these are the Smokestack twins. They're coming to make the community better. And then we are introduced to each of the characters. All of the characters are just presented so humane. Like there's really no villain in this story. Yeah, there are 2 villains in this story. I would even push as far to say 4. And if you've seen the movie, you know the 4 I'm talking about. But when it comes to the main characters that are put in a position and a light that we are known to love, we love them. We love Annie as a hoodoo priestess and almost a healer for the community. There are a lot of commentary that has been said, oh, she was presented a mammy archetype. No, she was not. No, she was not. Like, I really believe that that's a reach. Annie was a healer within the community. So whether she was unambiguously black or overweight or skinny or whatever, she was a healer. We have healers in our communities, and we don't get to select how these healers look. Now, yeah, Ryan could have made different choices based on her being a love interest, but I really believe that Annie was presented in a loving way. The community loved her, and the community also respected her. And honestly, I'm just, this is just from my point of view of seeing real people, of growing up in the church. I've seen attractive men that like fuller women. I've seen that. That's not a reach for me. I have a cousin that's into bigger women, and he's slender and he's attractive and he's fair skinned and he likes bigger women. So for me, that wasn't like, oh, she's an auntie, she's his mom. I didn't see it like that. If there were those that saw it like that, then that's on you. Maybe you haven't seen that representation. But I believe that Annie was presented in a humane way, and we love her. The way that Miles, that's his name, his real name, but his name in the movie was Sammy. The way Sammy was presented, of course we meet him after he's gone through a battle with the vampires, but we meet him in a way where he's just a hungry kid. He's trying to make it in this world. He's looking up to his cousins because his cousins have money. That's still like that in the community. It's sad, but sometimes younger people, especially in underserved communities, they look up to the people with the money. And when you talk about Smoke and Stack, like Smoke was trying to keep him away, but he knew that Sammy idolized them. So that's another. Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim, Perlene, Jamie Lawson, like all of them did their big one. Mary, Haley Steinfeld, like Remick, Jack O'Connell, like all of the people in the film. It's like they gelled. And I think Wanimi said that, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Wanimi, But she also said that coming to work every day did not feel like work. They began to jail as a family, and I also believe it's in part to them having filmed a large part of the movie in New Orleans. Like, I went to undergraduate school in Louisiana, and it's just something about the ground, it's something about the earth there that pulls people together and makes them feel like family. So I believe that's a large part of it as well. As an actress, I definitely want to work with Ryan Coogler now. Like, this film has made me want to work with Ryan Coogler. Apart from the fantasy of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, apart from Creed, apart from the biopic, which is Fruitvale Station, I want to work with Ryan. So I'm putting that out there. I will be eyeing and stalking and asking around about projects that he has his hands on. So hopefully I will. I'm putting that in the universe. Hopefully I will get to work with Ryan Coogler. So when I mentioned before that this isn't a movie about vampires or racism, this is a movie about humanity, that's the question that I want to ask in this video. So I'm not going to go into a lot of deep dives because I believe people have done that already. I'm here to just add my voice and show my love for the film so that they keep producing films like this. But my question is the question that Remick posed to the folks while they were in the juke joint. Would you rather continue to live in this state of being as less than human as Black Americans in the South, or would you rather be superimposed in a new reality for yourself? Aside from you walking the earth ageless and being a ghoul, I believe the commentary on vampirism and the supernatural being presented to Black Americans is spot on. It's spot on. When you talk about Southern Gothic horror, that's the lives of Black Americans even to this day. It's horror. That's why there have been so many movements to promote rest and promote joy. I would go on to say, I want to see more content and creativity around this issue. I can only imagine what my ancestors went through coming from the fields from KC in the morning to KC at night, the dreams that they had. Not just dreams, but I am a believer in the afterlife. I'm a believer in magic. I'm a believer in things that we cannot see. I wonder what kinds of things they were presented with. What kinds of things did they see? My grandmother, she always talked about haints. And she would kind of chuckle after certain stories to maybe make us as children believe that it was fictional. But there's a part of me, even from seeing this film, that believes or wonders, was that true? She talks about the color haint blue being a ward off of spirits. She put four-leaf clovers in the Bible as markers on her favorite Bible scriptures. Hoodoo is all around us. So it just makes me think, about Christianity and the way we worship corporately to hoodoo and the way some of our ancestors worship privately and believe that this is what protected them. This was the actual thing that protected them. Of course, Jesus, but also this. So I just want to, pose that question and leave that out in the air. Didn't want this video to be too long, and I hope that it's not too long. What do you believe our ancestors dreamed about? What do you believe that they saw? Do you believe that stories like Sinners existed somewhere? I don't know. But make sure you guys subscribe to the Joya channel. Follow me on TikTok at Joya and ATL and on Instagram at Joya is Blessed. Until next time.